Welcome back to Daytime Ottawa. Rogers is pleased to bring back the OMNI Scholarship Program. This is a great opportunity for journalists out there, and here to tell us about the eligibility and his own experience going through the scholarship program. I'm joined by Evert Alasdair Lindquist. He is a multimedia journalist. Evert, welcome to the show. Great to have you here, and really appreciate you sharing your story today because, as I said, you've gone through this program. Tell me a little bit about how you found out about it and what that process was like for you.
Yeah, so as a Carleton University journalism student, this opportunity was forwarded to me through Carleton by our journalism program. It hit me right away as something I should apply for since I have experience in multiple other languages, Spanish and German in particular. And I would encourage any student studying journalism right now or pursuing a career in journalism who has that multilingual experience in 2 or more other languages to also apply as well, with the deadline coming up. I want to say it was May 24th. It's a great way to get funding if you're going on exchange or need funding for some other journalism-related occupation.
Is journalism, being in journalism, is that the main part of the eligibility?
It was something that definitely came through the journalism program, okay. So it struck me as something geared toward, it's ethnic third language journalism. So that was definitely the appeal for me. But I'm sure there's people who aren't specialized in journalism who could also take a shot at it. Well,
what's the value of hearing and telling stories in somebody's language? What would you say to people out there, that are wondering, why is OMNI doing all of this hard work behind the scenes?
For sure. When you take the time to hear a story from the source, from a storyteller in their original language, in the way they originally perceived the story, experienced it, you will get a much more extensive story out of that than if you are relying on them to tell you that story in a language they're not as comfortable in. Say their native language is different from your native language, and they may actually be omitting important details that you would find crucial as a journalist to including in how you tell the story and retell it for your audience. So being able to, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say going to the source is incredibly important, right? Because, sometimes things can get lost in translation. So having that opportunity to go to the source and understand the language and getting the information in your native language and then being able to tell that story, that must be incredibly important, Evert.
By all means. When I lived in Argentina when I was 17, 18 and worked there as an English teacher, I immediately noticed the difference between how people would treat you based on if you expected them to know your language, in this case English, and if you actually reached out to them in their language. And this was not in a journalism context, but I would speak in Spanish to them. I found they were friendlier, they were more patient, gave you more of their time, they were more open with you. And as a journalist, that's incredibly important because you need to develop that rapport with your sources and make them feel comfortable to want to tell you those stories. So if you even just greet them in their native language and then revert back to using English, your native language, for the interview, you have still expressed that interest in them and made them feel comfortable. And as that Nelson Mandela quote kind of goes, you've touched their heart, not just their mind and head.
Yeah, and you learn, I guess, specific skills as well that you otherwise wouldn't learn. What specific skills, have you learned along the way?
Yeah, for sure. Translation, interpreting stories between different languages, it's never simply a matter of verbatim translation, of literal translation. There are so many nuances, anomalies between languages. It's often not the same idioms and proverbs that you use, and you have to reinterpret those. Maybe there's more emphasis or expression or passion in another language you're translating into. Maybe there's more emphasis on the cultural elements. It really goes beyond just translating word for word. So you really have to have a good understanding of the person you're working with as well.
What did that scholarship mean for you, Evert?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'm on exchange right now at the University of Leeds in Northern England, so this helped me fund that. I'm taking a journalism course here, travel journalistic writing course, among others, and I participate weekly in the German and Spanish conversation groups here at the university, and later in my semester I'm heading off to Austria and Germany to travel around a bit. It's going to be the first time I can actually use my German language skills in a practical environment, not just in a classroom or among friends, so I'm looking forward to that and kind of honing in on those skills while also still practicing journalism here at the university when I have time.
Yeah, what a great opportunity that's going to be to travel. What about, employment opportunities? It must expand the opportunities that are available to you in journalism.
Yeah, I would definitely imagine so. I would say German and Spanish, it might not be as high demand languages in the field as, say, maybe Chinese and Arabic these days, but there's definitely an industry for them, maybe more so in Latin America and Europe. And I hope to kind of break out of the Canadian media landscape eventually once I've graduated and maybe find a position elsewhere in the world where I can use both those languages on a frequent basis and implement them in my journalism.
Why German and Spanish for you?
When I took a gap year, I worked in Argentina as an English teacher, so I needed that language there. That was essential. And then I came back and took a shot at German just because I heard travelers speaking it a lot in Argentina, and it seemed like a very impressive language to know. I'd always struggled with French in school, despite studying it for quite a few years. So that was my chance to prove myself that I could actually learn a language. Yeah, that's a language that I struggled with myself, and one of my greatest regrets living in Ottawa to this day is not following through and just getting working my way through those struggles. Evert, really appreciate the time today, and congratulations on all your success so far, and enjoy your travels. I really appreciate that. Thanks so much for all your time today. All right, take care. Again, that deadline is May the 24th at 1 p.m. You can find out more information at omnitv.ca/scholarships. We'll be back with more right after this.